So what we just did in the last exercise was to pass different information around the code around the program under different circumstances. So we took one wire and switched it onto another wire versus a third wire switching it onto that other wire, right? So we were actually passing information around, and it's a nice way to make the program behave differently under different circumstances. But what if we wanted our code to do something completely different? If we wanted it to execute certain code in one instance versus another instance. In one case, for instance, maybe we want the code to beep. And maybe in another case, we don't want the code to beep. So what I propose doing now is that we explore how to bring certain code in line with the execution based on conditions in the program. So we're not just moving information differently, we're now making the program behave differently by using a different function. And the way to do that is with a case structure. So case structures are structures. So they define an interior space that's affected by the structure and an exterior space that's not. Case structures, if I make myself a little larger here, case structures can be found in the structures palette. It's on the block diagram. We right click, we go to case structures. A case structure I want to have wrap around all the code that I want to have happen conditionally. In a certain instance I want to do one thing, in a certain instance I want to do another thing. Do I always want to know what the height is? Yes, because I always got to know what the height is to make any decisions. Do I always want to know, do I always want to give instruction to the user? Yes, because I always want to give the user some instructions. I don't want them to not get instructions at some point. So all of these things up here at the top are going to happen all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my case structure down in the bottom. So the case structure, again, is an area. There's an inside of the case structure, which will now happen conditionally. There's some code that will happen in the true case, some code that will happen in the false case. Now, what code do I want to happen when I'm too high? I want it to beep when I'm too high. So let's see if there's a function called beep. I don't know where that might be, so I look for search and I type in B-E-E-P. Look, there's a beep function. Isn't that cool? Great. So here's a beep function. Click, double click, click, and drop. So that beep function is now going to happen in my true case. What's going to happen in my false case? Nothing. Don't want anything to happen, so it's not going to beep. So this function is now going to happen conditionally. Just like with the while loop, there are three parts to the conditional structure, to the case structure. I'm actually going to make it just a little smaller. There we go. So there's three parts to the case structure. There is the border that defines the interior and the exterior. There is this question mark. The question mark is the conditional terminal. What color is that question mark? Green. So what does it accept? Booleans, right? So it's going to take in a Boolean piece of information. If a true comes in, it's going to run this code. If a false comes in, it's not going to run any code. This is my selection criteria here, and I've just implemented a case structure. Okay? So now when I run the program, and I think you'll be able to hear this, I'm too low, so I should be running the false case. I shouldn't get any beeping. So now let's go here. That's what I'm hearing in my headphones right now. And I'm sure everybody else is hearing it on this. Yeah, that's fine. But I can hear it. Now, let's do this, and I'll show you one of the problems that comes that is now apparent because we've just done this. And then we'll fix it when we come back. Do you think you have enough information to solve this problem? So we're going to find the beep function, drop it, put a case structure around it, and then hook up the case structure appropriately. By the way, just to be clear and for completeness, there is a thing, the third thing in a case structure is the case selector terminal. Notice that it has arrows on either side of it. Arrow. That switches you between the true and false case of what you're looking at. Also, you can look at the down arrow, switch to the true case, down arrow switch to the false case. Good? Great.